Okay, so the first keyword that was sent to me was wine popsicles. And this person is ranking for the keyword wine popsicle and wine popsicle. So you can see these are the two keywords. Key search is saying 1,000 each. And you can see here she is in the number one position. If you go to explore and you type it in as well, you can see what keyword she's ranking for. And there you go. Number one, both are 1,000, which we would assume normally total monthly search volume, we would add those up and get about 2,000 minimum, right? Which we would assume to take 29-30% of that if we're in the number one position, which would be maybe a little north of 600 monthly searches. But she's only getting about 375. So we wonder, well, why is it a little bit off? Technically, it's not off because key search is, number one, trying to group close variant keywords, which I talked about in a podcast I did a couple months ago. And it's basically trying to give us a better overall estimated volume, kind of like what Rank IQ does. So key search is saying if you ever find a keyword that's identical, so these are pretty darn identical to each other with the same volume, we can assume that's the same. And we shouldn't add them up together, which is something that a lot of people don't know. And I'm going to emphasize when I do updates in the course, this difference. So we can assume, okay, wine popsicle or wine popsicles, we can assume total volume is going to be about 1,000 for that keyword. Of course, you can look at her keywords here and see what other keywords she's ranking number one position for, because if she's getting about 375 monthly searches, that is about 29% of 1,000, okay, which seems pretty accurate. If I look into Ahrefs, you can see other number one positions, which is why I like Ahrefs, because it shows you many more SERP result positions. Here, top story, top story, top story. Here's some image packs below here that she's falling in the number one position for that key search doesn't pick up, okay? So it ends up being a little bit more keywords than key search shows us. But like I said, if we add up these totals, it ends up being about 1,000 anyway. So this keyword does prove to be accurate based on key search. With that said, if I Google it, which you should always Google a keyword before you go after it, you can see the user intent is more a mixture of transactional intent and informational. So people are either wanting to buy an alcoholic popsicle from the store or order it online or make it. So it could be 50-50, but whenever I see this up here, I'm assuming that the user intent or the clicks are going to be cut in half. That's kind of just like a safe assumption, which would then mean if we take 29% of this result and we cut it in half, that would be more like 150, 175 clicks. But she's getting more than that. So, and I'm assuming that's because she's in all these SERP positions as well. So I would say that her result is more accurate than it's coming across. So I wouldn't worry about that. The next keyword we're going to look into is rose latte. So immediately I Googled it and I said, okay, exactly what I expected. There's going to be some products. So that's going to immediately cut down on some of those clicks to your recipe if you're trying to rank in one of these positions. So we look at rose latte and we see, okay, it's getting about 1,600 results from United States users. I'm going to, of course, take this first result and examine the keywords that this blogger is ranking for to see if there's any other potential variations. So rose latte, again, so this is going to be global. I'm curious to see. Let me see. I'm going to actually put in Ahrefs because Ahrefs will give me the United States volume for keywords that somebody's already ranking for, whereas key search, I'm not able to change that volume of here. Do you see how I'm not able to change this? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to look and see, okay, so she's in the number one position for rose latte, which this is US volume. So we can expect about 29-30% of that, about 30% of that, 30% of that, rose water latte, 30% of that. I'm assuming rose water is used, so I'm going to take this into consideration. 20% of that, 20% of that, 20% of that, and rose water. Maybe a couple of these variations down here, but it's not much more than 1,000 or 1.2 thousand, maybe like 1.3. So let's think, okay, 1.3, 1.4 thousand, 30% of that, maybe a little bit north of 420 page views. But then we think, okay, there's other SERP positions you can be in. Also, there's products to take into consideration. So I think 400 would be a good 300, 400 would be a good expectation. She's actually getting around 700 page views a month, which means people may be clicking or looking more for the actual recipe than a product, which could be good. Or she may be getting some of that global traffic volume that we didn't take into consideration when we did our, first position result percentage. So there's a lot that goes into deciding on whether to go after a keyword. And sometimes it will surprise you with the volume that you get. And sometimes you're going to be disappointed, like I was with my ugly cake keyword. There's some more keywords out there that you guys have sent me that I'm going to share in future emails that are not all product intent, related, issue related. So keep an eye out for that email and send me any other keywords that you may have in mind.